Hello, THL. Welcome to 2020. Saku and I, Donde, are here to show you how to ban properly in the new season. This is a good refresher for any returning players, and of course, for all of our new players, it's a process that sometimes causes issues in the early going of the season. So we want to make this as easy as possible for you. So what we're going to show you here is exactly how the ban process goes when you challenge your opponent for any of our series, whether it's Legacy Hero or Pro or anything else. So Saku and I are going to join up in a challenge as if we are playing now.
Okay, I'm going to switch that screen right now. So I am going to message Donde if he's online, and it shows that he's there. So I'm going to click the old friendly challenge. Standard duel, of course. Waiting for Mr. Man to acknowledge, which he has. And at this point, I should mention that the players should mention if they're ready. They should have that conversation prior to, and then they can start doing the band bubble.
So the important thing here is that you can have more decks than the classes you're playing, but we always like to only have the 4 or 5 in some cases decks that we are going to be playing and banning just to keep the clutter down. You don't want to have a whole lot of extra stuff in there because if you have an extra class or an extra deck of the same class, it could lead to a DQ.
mm-hmm.
You always want to have one deck named ban, and then you want to name your other deck something not obvious. So I may be playing Quest Shaman, but I don't want to name it Quest because then I'll give it away. However, you definitely always want to name one deck ban and no more because you don't want to add extra confusion to that process either. So now that we're in the challenge screen, you can't back out, you can't go into your collection. That's important in a closed list scenario because you don't want to see the ban and then make any changes to your decks because that's cheating, and we don't want cheaters here. So, Saku, why don't you tell everybody what you're seeing on your screen right now?
Well, right now my screen has from the decks that I submitted online were Hunter, Warlock, Rogue, and Shaman. And with Donde, I knew that he had picked, I think it was Hunter, Rogue, Shaman, Mage. Is that right?
That's correct.
So, and I knew I didn't want to face Mage in my situation, so I made up a deck list and just labeled that ban.
Since he's not playing Mage in his lineup, he's allowed to have 5 decks. So he
Correct.
has his 4 decks that he is playing, and then the 5th deck that he's opting to ban. When you see my screen after we share our screenshots here, you'll see that I'm banning Rogue, which he is playing, and I'm also playing. So instead of having 5 decks, I only have 4. I just named my Rogue deck ban, and as long as he doesn't ban it, I'll just play that deck. So now the next step from here would be for us to each message each other so a bubble pops up in client, and then we take a screenshot of it.
Okay, just sent my request now. Do the screenshot.
And the important thing is to get both bubbles in the screenshot so you know that the screenshot was taken now and not at some other point. So now that we have our screenshots, we're going to go to our email, which is suggested over Discord because it can't be edited.
Yep, just going to do the transition here in 2 seconds. Maybe 3. Okay, so now we're over to the email. I go to my email, and sometimes it may take a second because Donde's. I'm in Canada, so it takes longer to get the emails.
The internet wires freeze there, I think.
So refresh. So here we are. So we have a THL test band. So typically this will be already within the conversations you may have, or a brand new one, depending on how you guys have started your emails. But as you can see, I see the image that Donde had submitted and review what he's picked. He happens to name his classes of what series he's playing in. That's his style, and it also shows that he has banned his rogue pretty clearly, and it also shows that we've acknowledged the ban bubbles. So
now that we both know each other's ban, We then would message each other in client again and say, just to confirm, I banned your rogue, you banned my mage. The other person would confirm so that we know that we both are on the same page and that we can't play those decks. From there, you're allowed to play, and then you play your best of 5 series as normal. Most people will probably ask why we can't do borrow decks, and that's unfortunately was something broken when Blizzard updated the borrow deck feature to autocomplete. And when you autocomplete a deck, that it doesn't show up when the opponent borrows your decks anymore. So you can autocomplete it, fill in another deck in there, maybe with like 29 out of 30 cards of a different archetype. So maybe I wanted to have a control shaman in addition to my quest shaman. And then I would be able to sneakily get around the fact that I now know his ban and I can play Quest Shaman or Control Shaman instead of Quest Shaman. So that's why you can't borrow decks, unfortunately, since he won't be able to see any changes I make to my lineup inside the borrow deck screen. So, you know, thanks, Blizzard.
Thanks for wrecking a good thing.
But that's the ban process in a nutshell. Very straightforward. Just has a tendency to trip a few people up, so we're trying to avoid DQs. If you have any questions at all, definitely feel free to reach out to myself, Saku, or any board member in Discord, or help at teamhearthlegends.com if you want to email instead, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have for the upcoming season.
Yep.
Thank you for watching, and
Thanks, everybody.